Again, one of my videos, but today we're going to go over some black history, actually some fascinating history that I just recently ascertained through my research of Brazil and Africa. There were 5 million Africans made it to the shores of Brazil. Now, the fact that the bottom tip of Brazil and Africa, the distance isn't that long. It took about 40 days, so to speak, to get from different parts of Africa to America. It was supposed it took 60 days, whatever the case may be. So the route's much shorter, so they were constantly going back and forth. Now that's only 5 million that made it. What about the others that died or murdered or committed suicide? They just couldn't bear to take any of the the pain, the suffering, the malnutrition, just the blatant disrespect, for life and liberty and freedom, They say it was an estimated 10 to 20 million Africans jumped off the ship or committed suicide and some other means. 60 million in the slave Atlantic trade. 60 million total Africans died. Estimated died. 60 or more. It could be 100 million. They really don't know. There were so many dying they didn't keep record because the captains of the ships, or the slave ships, what they were doing, they was making little hustles and deals. So they would tell the buyers that they only had this amount of slaves when they really had more, so they can sell it to other people that may want slaves. So it may want an African that would ultimately be a slave, which is very unfortunate because slavery, think about it. You got people living in peace and harmony. We have a very strong and powerful royal bloodline. We were the warriors of the world, warriors, queens, and kings of the world in Africa. Throughout Africa, not just in Africa. Shoot, there's evidence even in America that there's 100 pyramids, over 100 pyramids along the Mississippi River. There's a book called Native Roots that goes into great detail about that. And the colonists who came over, the pilgrims, whatever, they took pieces from those pyramids to build their homes in the colonies. I'm so serious. All this knowledge and power we once had, we literally were stripped, robbed, kidnapped, tortured, for everything, stripped of identity. But we're gonna get it back, though. We're gonna get it back. Now back to what I was saying before. Now Angola was the area that the Portuguese colonized or invaded. Now there's a queen by the name of Queen Nzinga. She was a dual queen. Matter of fact, one of the first dual queens of the world. Definitely the first African dual queens where no, that's not true. Queen of Sheba. Queen of Sheba definitely, she ruled a few lands in the northeastern part of Africa, Kush, which is Ethiopia, and going into Syria. But we'll get into that. We'll get into that in my book, 7 Types of Queens, the King of Zion. Right now, let's talk about Brazil. Now Angola, Queen Nzinga had Matumba, she was queen of that country, and the Ndongo, which is today Angola. As a matter of fact, the way she got to be queen of Matumba was because she was in exile. She'd been battling the Portuguese, who was from a small little country up here. Small little country off the north of Africa. Come way over here in the coast and land in Angola, fighting her people. Now Queen Nzinga had to fight her brother, actually kill her brother, because her brother was, when the father died, the brother was made king, even though a lot of people felt like she should have been the ruler. But she's a female, and at the time the power transferred, I believe, and don't quote me, but there was a time where in Angola, I know in many other countries it was a matriarchal society, but in that part of Africa, which is southern Africa, they also had a lot of great things going on. You have South Africa, the Congo, which the Belgium took over Congo. The France took a lot of chunk over here, but Belgium had a big chunk of the central. British and Britain. I'm gonna get a map. I'm gonna get a bigger map. Maybe do this whole video over, but you guys get the concept. You see where I'm at. Now the British had this region here. You know what I'm saying? Of course, they They had Africa, you know what I'm saying, and you had Ethiopia in this section. In this region, I don't quite remember who claims it could have been. I know the French definitely had some parts of it too. It could have been German. One of the European corny exploiters. They called themselves explorers, but they were exploiters. You know what I'm saying? They came in, invaded, and just completely took people's trust and just disbarbed it as if it didn't mean anything. You know? But Queen Nzinga, she fought for a long time, and that shows me, in honor of my ancestors, that meant that we ain't supposed to give up neither. We supposed to believe. Last night I'm watching the Black Panther screaming Black Power on the PBS. I hope you guys seen that episode. That was February 16, 2016. Hope you guys will watch that on YouTube or something, man. Or buy the documentary. I'm sure it's for sale. Great documentary. And they were conscious of their history. Like I am conscious of my history. And after watching this video here, you all will be conscious of your history. Now, sugar back then, was the biggest cash cow of the world. I'm talking about people. Countries were made rich off sugar. That's why they came and kept on going back and forth to meet the demand for the good, which was sugar. And you have coffee and many other things, but sugar was the bread and butter. Now, I posted this whole thing. It's a beautiful map that had these lines and circular lines showing a kind of like a recycling type thing of the ships going back and forth from Brazil to Africa. And a young lady asked me a question. I put on my Instagram. Instagram is at Courage to Believe. You see on the bottom here, at the bottom of the video. Please follow me, support everything I'm doing. Everything I'm doing. Matter of fact, anybody do anything positive out here, especially on the more grassroots level, support them. Like real talk, support them. Matter of fact, if you doing something, let me know so I can support you as well. Whatever city you at. I'm in South Florida, but trust me, I know my brothers and sisters out there in Harlem doing their thing, Atlanta, up there in London, Ghana, everywhere. Brazil even. Brazil is our brothers and sisters. Now, a young lady asked me on my social media, on my Facebook, she asked me, I believe her name was, I know it's Felicia. I believe it's Felicia. And she asked me, how come the skin color of the Brazilians are, black? She always wondered that. And I was like, I always wanted that too. And that's what kind of prompted me to do the research. But I kept hearing Portuguese name while I'm doing research on Africa. I kept hearing the Portuguese name when it came to the 1500s, 15 and 16, 1800s. They didn't stop the slave trade in Portugal at least until 1888, unfortunately. So this was going on for a good 400 years going on. Slave, you know what I'm saying? Slave trade, killing. So now you have 51% of Brazil as black people, 51%. And they're being discriminated against. I mean, when it comes to jobs, when it comes to housing, when it comes to hourly wages, a person will have to work. A black person in Brazil have to work 72 hours in comparison to someone who works 40 hours. A person to make what they're making, the white Brazilians are making in 40, a black person has to work 72 to make that same amount. Isn't that crazy? 30 plus hours, 32 more hours. So it's going to be up to us to teach each other, to empower each other on not just what's going on right now, what happened back then, so we can acknowledge what happened back then, so we could be better prepared to handle what we are facing today, going into tomorrow. That's vitally important. That's vitally important that I share this history with y'all, because even though I've never been to Brazil, but you know what? They have the Olympics in Brazil this year. I still want to go there. It's always been my dream to go to Brazil. Not just because a lot of beautiful sisters, in Brazil. Matter of fact, I think Brazilian women are some of the finest women in the world. And they're African, of course. They got that good melanated skin, and and that, of course, they come from the motherland. The Nile River in Africa is the biggest river in the world. It's the source of the world. That water, that river. It was the power. Egypt, which is Kemet, was the power source of the world. Meaning all the goods and treasures of the world come from Mother Africa. And that includes beautiful sisters in Brazil, beautiful sisters in Haiti, You know, the beautiful sisters in America, around the world. You know, Japan too, China, all of y'all. I love all of you. And my book, Seven Types of Queens. I hope you guys, please check it out. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be a bestseller. You're gonna hear it. Share this video. Let people know. And I'm talking about Black history, but I love all history. But right now, my passion is into African history and to share the contributions that our people made in the world. As a matter of fact, one of the two books I'm reading, one to help me market my book really, really, really well. So I want to sell 40 million books. This book sold 100,000, so I got to beat them. But The Complete Guide to Self-Publishing, awesome book. I mean, you see how thick it is. I read it twice already. And this book on pharaohs. This has a lot of great information on not just Egypt, which is Kemet, the original name Kemet, but also different parts like Nubia, the kings of Nubia, who were the original pharaohs of Egypt. You know what I mean? So, you know, things like that. So it has great pictures. It's awesome. I've had the book for a little while now, but I'm actually first now reading, going digging deep into it. This pharaoh, I believe, is I'm not sure who this guy is. Amenhotep. All right. And he has the cobra, and I believe this is the blue crown. This is the blue crown. But this crown with the cobra represents that he was a pharaoh of the north. There's pharaoh of the south and pharaoh of the north. The pharaohs of the north, of the south, has the hawk. Pharaohs of the north have the cobras, the snakes. And so anyway, check me out. I'm going to drop more knowledge here and there. Leave a comment, talk to me, holler at me. Peace.